Welcome back to Midwest Fantasy Football. This is week number 7. We are again in Aaron's garage recording this week. It is Wednesday, a day late. I had some stuff scheduled yesterday, and Aaron was wrestling his dog tried to wrestle a skunk, so he was dealing with cleaning that up yesterday. That's why I can sit next to him again, roughly, so he's not quite so bad as it was yesterday.
Yeah,
so.
We'll see how long he can last.
Yeah, I'm supposed to go smell his couch after we're done with this to see if that's is it just dog smell or is there still skunk smell? So
hopefully the weirdest thing I will ever ask him to do.
I hope so too. All right, this week's top score, Will's Galactic Gibbs Gang took out Aaron actually, 135.8 to 105.3. Aaron, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
You know, so for the last couple of years, my team name was, Pickens so bad it hurts. This is the first time that I didn't get Pickens, which is an extra level of pain every time I watched his incredible feat of acrobatics as he caught some of these contested catches. Brought in 22 points for Will. If anybody else had him, I could have rooted for him. Otherwise, Gibbs, fantastic job doubling, 35 points. I think that was the highest scoring player this week. We'll see if that's right, but I think that's right.
I think that was pretty close.
Yeah, so, one player got 0 points. I don't remember if he got hurt early on.
I actually looked at the stats on that for Will. The one guy, I don't know if he was hurt or he finished the game, just didn't get any points. So
okay.
He didn't get knocked out anyways. But
all right. Otherwise, just all around, good, 20 points for every wide receiver, 20 points for the quarterback, just a good balanced game. My team did not do that. So I had 2 different players under a point, another 2 under 5, another one under 10. Really only, Bryce Hall, 26 points, and Bowers.
Breece Hall.
And, Bowers as a tight end bringing in 20, but otherwise I did not put him up this week.
Yeah, I saw actually a stat this week that was talking about Brock Bowers where it is looking like he may break the rookie wide receiver record, rookie receptions record that Puka Nacua set last year. So he's on that level of talent, especially considering the tight end position has been pretty mid this year, actually, overall. The other thing I was going to call out on this one was your start this week of DeAndre Hopkins moving from the Tennessee offense over to Kansas City. It's a pretty good upgrade on your part. You think it'll have a decent impact on his fantasy season?
I don't know. Hopefully. Anything's better than 0.8, right? But, and I kind of looked at, Mattinson would have been, that's the running back. Yeah, would have gotten me an extra 12. But I'm not deep in wide receivers this year at all. I played him expecting to get 8.5 points. So hopefully he steps up a little bit with a good quarterback.
I hope so. All right, next matchup. Let's see. That was the closest one, so I believe... Or no, the biggest blowout is next. The biggest blowout was a low-scoring affair. Tom's Always the McBridesmaid, 102 points over Trent's Deucing in the Laporta John with 50.5 points. That's a 50.2-point margin of victory.
Yeah, my favorite part about this match is that had Tom played his bench instead of his lineup, he still almost would have won with 49.5 points. There were so many things going on here. 0 players that got less than 5 points. Henry just having a hell of a year. Holy cow.
He had a heck of a fourth quarter. The fourth quarter of that game, they just... Yeah. 81-yard, here's a 40-yard run, just crazy numbers.
Well, and they're talking in the beginning of the game about how Henry hadn't gotten anything and how he's a fourth quarter workhorse, and then suddenly, boom.
Yeah.
Right? Now he's killing it at 30 years old as a running back. Otherwise, that was really where most of the points came from. Playing most any other team, you would have had a rough time. But, Trent, nobody with more than 15 points, 5 people under 5. New York, negative points. It was rough. I would have felt better if some of these people had, gotten hurt or been on a bye week or something. And it was a mistake.
Chris Godwin was one of his top scorers. He got hurt out for this season.
That's true.
But he also got hurt with 45 seconds left in the game. He probably wasn't going to score any more points.
Yeah. He got 14 points still. The only person who got more than 15 points was on your bench, and it was a quarterback. So.
I did because you have 50.5 points. It's a pretty low number. I'm like, was that low? Where I always forget where the low low mark in the history of the league is. And it turns out I didn't have to go any further back than last year, in which you put up 46 points in one matchup, week 4 last week against this man.
Nice.
So, it's still not quite the all-time low, but you're building consistency. I guess that's why you're the deuce at the moment. So, all right. Next matchup was the closest matchup, and that was, I believe that's Wood. Yes, Eric's Wood taking out Drew's D-, 110.4 to 97. About a 13.5 point margin of victory.
Yeah, running back strong, right? 26 points, 29 points. The only thing that Eric could have done differently was throw in Dobbs to give him an extra 15 points, which, would have just added insult to injury. But otherwise, even with, Flowers not doing that great, except for recovering the onside kick at the end there. 4 points there, Johnson at 2. There was not a lot of high scores except for the running backs, and they carried it home. Drew, on the other hand, best scorer outside of Harris, who did put up 19 points, was Washington's defense at also about 19 points. Samuel was 0. Only one person over. Oh, I guess there was Jacobs had 20. But all in all, just not a couple people under 5, not a lot of super high scorers there, which is, what ended up helping to balance out.
Yeah, I hadn't read about, I heard that Deebo Samuel got knocked out of the game and he didn't play. I hadn't gotten, any detail about him because I don't own him in any of my leagues. It said the wideout just admitted to the hospital on Sunday after he played just 4 snaps against Kansas City before exiting the game when he experienced a buildup of fluid in his lungs. That is scary as hell. Holy cow, I don't know what that is, but hopefully he recovers well from that.
Yeah, had he played, had that not happened, had he gotten the points he was expected to get, that was 13.5 points. So that would have put you right there.
Yep, would have been close.
Yep.
All right, after the top 3 matchups, I feel like this is a good time. Nick said last time we were hanging out in Eric's garage, we needed to feature our random beers that we were drinking. I have a, what is this, Sagatuck Brewing Oak Wizard. Pretty good.
Yep, I'm doing Ale Asylum's Oktoberfest, the Octillion. It is fermented insanity. Made right up the road.
Nice. All right. Let's see. The next highest game was is that one of mine or what was the next one? Yeah, I was afraid of that. All right. Scotty B gets his first win of the season. Scotty B and Josh. Got to give them credit where credit's due. 135 and change over my Detective Pikachu with 92.5 points.
Yeah. Good job getting that first win. This one was actually supposed to be pretty close, right? It was supposed to be 103.9 to 103.3. So a couple of key things shifted around to change that out. Bauman had 0 players under 5 points. Pretty balanced otherwise, right? People getting right around what they were supposed to or coming in high. Another high tight end scorer this time with Otten getting 18 points. And Denver's defense, holy cow, at 23.5.
I'd have been mad about Denver's defense if I didn't have them in the Superman League, where I'm wrecking in that league. I'm doing really, really well over there. They were in first or second. I don't remember at the moment, but I get that. I was pretty mad about that Denver game.
Yeah. On the flip side, as I was writing notes, I going down, I see, Barkley at running back getting almost 30 points. And my first thought was, damn. And then I get down a little farther to see Smith and the wide receiver at 0.8. And I went, damn. That hurt quite a bit there.
It was not like I really had a whole lot of fight in this one. I could have subbed Devonta Smith out for Blake Corum, who put up 1.1 points on my bench. So I could have gotten an extra 0.3 of a point. This was a pretty rough week for me. I had 3 players on a bye. I've got 2 players on IR, and then Jerome Ford was just out this weekend. So literally I only had 1 player on my bench, and he's kind of a handcuff, and I didn't really expect him to do much at the moment. So, when Devonta Smith had a crappy game, I'm hopeful that he'll bounce back this week. It was his first game back after being out for a while. Hopefully he bounces back. And then I have the lovely decision of trying to decide if I want to start Dak Prescott or Drake May for the Patriots, because Drake May's had a couple of good games. He's had, I'll take 20 points from my quarterback all day long, which I not think I've gotten a lot from Dak of so far this year. He had 1 really good game and a bunch of shitty ones. All right. Next one. I just closed my numbers here. Hang on. Matchups. Week 7. What's the next one?
Derek and Chris.
Derek and Chris. All right. Yeah, so Derek's What the Hockey, 132.4 over Chris's 91.4, the Minnesota Fanboy. What are your thoughts?
So, even with a couple people scoring less than 5 for Derek, he also had Bigsby just putting up some great numbers at almost 27 points, and Dicker the kicker with 22 and a half. Right? I mean, that is just a strong performance there. Everybody else was either about what they were supposed to be or way under, like Hill scoring 10 points shy of expectation, or Smith Najigba scoring 7 points under projection. So all in all, those couple players really helped. It's always fun to see 224 field goal yards.
Yeah, that's a lot.
in a game.
As it turns out, that team cannot score touchdowns.
Yeah.
So they're really good at kicking the field goals.
Yeah, and that comes back on Chris's side, right? He had 3 people with less than 5 points, another 2 under 10, and Smith-Schuster with 0 points in that wide receiver flex slot. Another good defense, though, almost 20 points for Cincinnati.
The first thing I noticed for looking through Derek here, I mean, he only got 2 points from Tyreek Hill. I believe Tua is supposed to play again this weekend, so you have to assume that the Dolphins' offense is going to get better because they are absolute crap right now. They have really been they've been really struggling, so they can only go up in the other direction. Yeah. Other than that, I don't have a whole lot else to throw on this one. So, all right. What's the next one?
Oh, I will point out one thing for Chris. That he did leave Mayfield on the bench at 30 points. I mean, it would have added 15, but it is painful to see the highest scoring player on the bench. And that was a heck of a game, too.
Yeah. I believe the next matchup was the 132 points by Cut My Balls. Lee taking out Nick and his T Bolden girls with 81.3 points.
Yeah, so to double down on a comment I made earlier, what I liked about this game is that Lee had 66.5 points on his bench, which was, in fact, enough to have beaten Trent had they played.
Ouch.
Yeah. Couple guys over 20 points again, doubling expectations. Hunt and Njoku both doubling what their expectations were going into that game. And then, I mean, yeah, whole lot of power on the bench. I mean, Lee 6-1, right? He's got too many.
This is a weird timeline. I don't know what the heck.
Too many good
I don't
players.
understand this timeline. Lee has never been this good in the history of this league. I appreciate you coming in strong, bud. Especially because we got to get somebody to knock off Ethan. So we added him to the league, and he's been tearing it up. So I appreciate you being the contender to take him down.
And I do feel like this is maybe the start of the downhill journey we were promised for Nick. 5-2. He's lost 2 games in a row now. So we're maybe going to see him finish out that season with no more wins like we were kind of hoping from the beginning. Nick, this week just went pretty poor. I mean, your kicker got more points than your quarterback.
Injury.
Twice as many.
Jaden Daniels got knocked out.
Yep. But, that hurts a little bit. I will say, though, Walker with 23 points in that flex slot was pretty good. But otherwise, I mean, you had 6-7 people with less than 10 points.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Actually interesting. I was reading an article today that was talking about Pittman is back, or not Pittman. Richardson was back starting again in Indianapolis, and he only had like 10 completed passes this week. They won, but that negatively impacts Michael Pittman Jr., who's on your bench. So there's still that concern about whether he can be a pocket passer or what his development will look like, because he came into the league really, really raw. Otherwise, over for Lee, the loss of Brandon Ayuk going on to IR. You have to try to figure out how you're going to replace that production. With it being a flex spot, you could put in Bateman, or you got Bucky Irving as well on the bench. There's a couple of decent players that have started to have a higher profile that you could potentially be slotting in. All right. Well, we got left.
Brandon and Ethan.
Okay, before we jump to that one, wait, what's Brandon and Ethan?
Lone call and...
Yep, yeah. And this was the point that I was like, okay, I was looking at the numbers. We had 4 teams this week that were high scorers that scored between 132 and 136 points. The tie score battle was very close this week, so props for whoever the hell Will was the high scorer, actually. Yep. Yeah, it was hard to even remember who it was, so props to you for that one. So, Brandon, 128 points. Brandon's blown call over Ethan's pretty good team, 128.1 to 111.
Yeah, another one where I'll say, good job knocking Ethan down a peg. First year in, kicking ass. But otherwise, I mean, look at Lamar Jackson, right? Almost 35 points. He put up one hell of a performance. And then you also had, Robinson putting up 26, Andrews putting up 20. I mean, even though you had 3 people coming in with less than 5 points, which, by the way, is more people at less than 5 points than Ethan had, still did a terrific game with those 3 players coming in, even with, taking 2 points in the flex spot, right? It was just a terrific lineup there. Ethan, I know that you won the first 5 games, but you do want players who score more than 10 points. No, Sutton was 0, Montgomery 8. I mean, there's a couple here who underperformed what they were supposed to. This was one of those games, if everybody had done what they were supposed to, you would have taken it by 11 points. But St. Brown with 25 is a heck of a score there. But
opting to leave Aaron Jones on the bench, 20 points and change. First game out of a bye, you figure they're probably going to scheme him up some plays. I know the Lions defense usually is pretty good, but it was the first one without Aiden Hutchinson. It looked like you can maybe run on Minnesota, you can maybe run on Detroit at this point. So, and then the Cortland Sutton game. I really don't know how the hell Denver won 33-10, and Cortland Sutton had no points. That's it. I don't know that he even had any targets. Yeah, no targets at all. So that's very surprising. You have to wonder if he's getting phased out in that offense, or what the heck is going on with that connection between Bo Nix and Cortland Sutton. I tried to get I didn't talk about this in mine. I tried to get risky and I played Valet. Ricky and I both ended up playing him. She played him in our Dynasty League, and I played him, and then we got to watch him suck together equally. So
yeah, you can take some solace knowing that had you put Jones in, you still would have won.
Yeah, well. Was that right? I mean, Cortland Sutton. He didn't. Yeah, he
would have given him an extra 11 points.
Yeah. Well, and I was trying to figure out if he had a wide receiver in his flex, he could have floated up, but no, he did not. He had a running back. So cool. All right, last game, I believe.
Yep, that was it.
Is there one more, or was that the last one?
I think that's it.
That's it. Holy cow, flying along. All right. The other notes that I had jotted down, there was one big acquisition in the waiver wire today. Rashad White had been a free agent, and I think Scotty B and Josh spent like $35 on him, which was a big spender. In our IDP bet, I'm still sitting in first. I had my worst week, and I only put like 34 points up. I still have a 7-point lead over, I believe Scotty B is right on my tail. Aaron is only 27 points back total, so 20 points behind him. And then Tom is trailing behind a significant amount. So Tom's almost down 100 points at this moment. So, but it's the IDP. We don't really know. It could bounce back at some point later in the season. It really just depends on when you guys have good games and when they get hot. So, which they haven't so far because you're in last.
Yeah,
so.
I think one of my players is hurt, so I'm playing with 3-man roster right now.
Because you've got a couple bye week guys, and I had a bye week, and I've got a guy that's out for the season, so I'm gonna play down 5 guys the rest of the season. I do love 5 guys. Speaking of IDP wager, we've not gotten very many wagers so far this year, so got to pick up the random gambling. Nobody's challenging anybody to matchups, or I don't know what's going on there. So, any final words?
No, I think that's it.
All right. Thank you again for Aaron weighing in this week, and we'll catch you guys next week.